Premium account on X is required to do so. Remove. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. There we go. Da 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 da. Oh. Da 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 da.
The weird thing about this whole deal as well is Newcastle under transfer sanctions, under monetary sanctions, stuff like that from UEFA, have to sell to buy. Villa under monetary sanctions from UEFA have to sell to buy. Chelsea under monetary sanctions from UEFA spend fucking break the transfer window. You know.
Right, as we are live and people are starting to join, I'm going to do a little intro so that I can get this uploaded for...
I didn't know we were live.
We are live. Sorry, Neil. Sorry, mate.
I could have said anything.
I'm sorry. Well, you did. It's all right, mate.
Damn Bardell. Did I ever tell you what I really think of him?
Hello and welcome to the 12th Man Live with myself and Neil Dunworth back from the Liverpool McGrath podcast. Neil, news breaking out of the journo world this evening is Chelsea reached verbal agreement with Aston Villa to sign Morgan Rogers. Bid of 100 million accepted by Aston Villa and being finalised. 6+ 1 year contract, medical on Monday. Arsenal interested and lucky, but 23-year-old attacker wanted Chelsea FC. Xabi Alonso instrumental. Neil, how are you feeling about that news?
Right, look, it's better it happens now than it happens in 3 weeks' time. It was always happening, you know. The second, like it just there was too much smoke without fire in this one. So it's for me, we got the money we wanted. It was a case of give us transfer record money. We'd send them to you. Arsenal didn't for whatever reason. Chelsea did for whatever reason, and Aston Villa pulled the trigger and said, "Yeah, we got to move on now," because like you can like the time for fans to be sad about the player moving on is like we can be sad for as long as we want, but the club have gone, shook his hand and gone, "See ya," you know, because the club has to continue going on. And the club has to continue going forward. And look, obviously they will miss him, and I will miss him as a player. And he's a damn good player, and he's probably going to show it tonight against France. And he's probably going to end up scoring a hat trick again tonight or tonight for France. And he's going to become a better player as the years go on. But if he wanted to leave and felt that he had done everything he could at Aston Villa, and he wanted to go to Chelsea. And if the money is right, considering the predicament we're in, unfortunately, who are we to say, no, you can't?
Exactly. And football. It's football. It's I'm at peace with it, though, Neil, surprisingly. I think we've all had our heartache days of people leaving. And I think the Tielemans transfer in the week, I think people are still getting over that one. And that one came out of nowhere. But we knew this one was coming for a while. Arsenal opened the feelers for it. And then Chelsea came out of nowhere and snatched it straight from underneath, preparing a bit FC's feet. I'm just glad that it's coming to an end, Neil, and I'm glad. And the things I wanted to touch upon on this live briefly were, so we've obviously spent the money that we have on Johan Manzambi. I assume that would have been amortized over the duration of his contract. João Gomez coming in, and that's a direct replacement financially with Yuri Tielemans. So, Neil, what do you think that means for the rest of our transfer window? Should things stay as they are and we don't have any more exits? Let's say Leon Bailey and Evan Gassand stay at Aston Villa. What do you think that means for us in the rest of our window doing business in the attacking market?
Oh, we're definitely doing business in the attacking market. Like, one of the big things here that I think we all have to get our heads around is that we won't be able to get our heads around why we're spending money, how we're affording to spend money, and what money is being spent. As I said there when I was on the hot mic before I knew we were live, you know, both ourselves and Newcastle are under UEFA embargoes for essentially, you know, spending rules and stuff like that. And we've had to sell our two players for massive money, yet Chelsea get to break the British transfer record. Like, that's where we are at the moment. So I'm now officially, like, I will talk about it, but I've retired caring where the money comes from. And I think I've also now, this is this for I'm suspending worrying about if we have to replace 7 first team starters, 10 first team starters, 5 first team starters. I'm suspending that this year. We are in a weird transfer window for Aston Villa. If you want to rebuild, we're in it. If you don't want to rebuild, well, then probably get used to it being a rebuild. I would say at this stage, if this isn't the klaxon or the clarion call that this is a rebuild, well, then unfortunately, I don't know what will convince you that it is. It's shit, and it is football currently at the moment. And essentially, I'm not happy that Morgan Rogers is gone, but it's a numbness because of the way the football has become at the moment, that you just kind of have to get on with it and go, right, who we who we getting in to replace him. And the reason that I say that, and the reason I said I've kind of retired from all that, is, look, with the amortization of contracts, with the fact that, we don't know what anybody's getting paid in wages. Capology isn't true. It's just not a true website at all.
Yeah.
I've told the stories before about, I have been responsible for Capology changing John McGinn's wages twice over the last 5 years. Genuinely,
I have for Neil Dunworth.
I have been. I wanted to test it out before. They said that you could send an email if you knew what it was, and they would double source it. Then I sent them an email, and then within 45 minutes later, it was changed, and I made up the number. Just completely made up John McGinn's wage number. So just bear that in mind. So we don't know what the wage implications are, and you never really know. Like there's people talking about Dominic Szoboszlai actually realistically being on 420 grand a week at Liverpool, because, and like, everyone is going, like, so the footballers get paid a hell of a lot more than we actually think that they get paid. And that's why when you're trying to figure it out from what we have, it's going to drive you barmy. The amortization of contracts is going to drive you barmy. Trying to figure it out. So your initial question was, who do we think we're going to sign more players? And I do think we are going to sign more players. I think we will get a winger. And I think at the end of this, we will come out with a net positive, because I think the Unai Emery will probably like to have a squad A list in the Champions League this year of more than 22 players, which we were restricted to because of our spending, our spending situation at the moment. And I think that some at some stage we have to get out from underneath the dark cloud of the UEFA sanctions. And if 117 million pounds probably curtailed down to about 102 after Borough, apparently Villa negotiated the sell-on fee down to 15 million with Borough, and it'll be 102 that Villa get. That's good. That's good money for any player in world football. So fair play to Morgan Rogers. He came to us for 15 million. We sold him for 117. Everybody, I think, will walk away from that deal and go, we got 2 very, very good years out of him. We made him into a star, and we've been roundly compensated for it.
It's an exciting time though, Neil. I feel like we're definitely, I mean, we spoke about this in the last, I spoke about it in the episode I did this morning, and the episode that me and you did on Thursday. And it's just an exciting time to be a part. I feel like the rebuild is happening, and, touching upon what you said when you said you're not bothered if 5 or 6 or 7 or 10 of our starting 11 from last season are going out the window. I feel exactly the same. I feel like as long as Unai Emery is at the helm, and I'd argue John McGinn as captain, there's not much more I'd be upset with leaving Aston Villa if that's what it takes for the rebuild. I try and keep the emotions away from football now, and it is a business essentially, isn't it? So I'm excited to see what we're going to do from the side of from the attacking front. Obviously, we've been heavily linked. Neil, I know you do a lot more research into the financial side of things than I do. I don't know if you know exactly, but in terms of that figure coming in for Morgan Rogers, and then the fee we've had for Yuri Tillemans and all of those wages we've got off the books, is there a figure that we can spend that you have in your head or somewhere in and around where you can say, okay, Villa have got this to play with, that you're aware of?
So I look, if you once again, if you're just doing crude back of a fag packet maths, what you're looking at here is 102 million. Let's just say Villa have it, like the Malin deal, and the Malin deal, remember, hits us this year, so we get that money now, that 22 million, which is great.
Yeah.
And I know there's book value and all that, but let's just take this really, really crude, very crude maths. That's 22 million plus 9 million for Lewis Dobbin. That's 31 million. Let's say that's paid for João Gomez plus the extra 4, right? That covers that. And the 35 million pays for the majority of Manzambi. And then when you talk about amortization, the reason I'm bringing all that up is that if you go for the 102 and you divide that by 3, so one of the big things here is that and the weirdness of the financial accounting for UEFA is that 102 million will be split. It will be split into 3/3, and it will be counted for the FER and the SCR over 3 years. So it's not 102 million this year. It's 33.66 million this year, 33.66 million next year, 33.66 million. Right. And so what I'm getting at here is that let's just say if we wanted to buy 3 players out of that, you amortize their contracts over 5 years, you're probably looking at about somewhere in and around that price. 30. So 3 players there would be out of that 33. That's 11. You multiply that by 5. So you're talking about you could very rough, and I'm talking very roughly here. You could be talking about you could get 50 million pound players. Now that means that there's no wages to be counted on that. There's nothing to be counted on that. So I don't think the club are going to go out like they've already spent 70 million. Or sorry, they've already spent 85 million. I don't think the club is going to go out and spend another 150 million. Now, I would love it if they did. I don't think that they will. So I think there will be judicious signings. I think there will be solid signings. I think there'll be another loan signing somewhere in that attacking makeup. Cough, cough, Nicholas Jackson. And I think that but I do think that Villa will replace Morgan Rogers with our winger, and I think he'll probably a bit more. I think they get 2 wingers in, but I don't think they'll be 2 50 million pound wingers. I think that one of them will be a form over function, and one of them will be a bit more of a longer term project. I hope. That's all I can do is I can only hope. But
and as somebody who frequently does episodes, Neil, on players we're linked with, I can only assume your shortlist of players is probably longer than our recruitment teams. Give in 1 or 2 players off the top of your head of who you'd like to see as a direct replacement, or who we're going to spend on. Sorry, in the attacking line, who would you like to see?
I think this is a really interesting question because you said the phrase direct replacement. I don't think they're going to go direct replacement. I think they're going to go more out and out left winger this time. I think they will.
Yeah.
But if they did want to go for somebody who was a bit more direct, I don't know. The second I heard Fernandez Pardo was linked, I went, kind of just screams Unai Emery. And that one really sticks. It stuck with me the whole time. Whenever I see his name come up, I go, there's something in that because he's really highly thought of. He's playing at Lille. We only sign players that have played against us. That's another thing. So he's played against us. I also think as well, Matthias Sule could be somebody that we might be able to wrangle a deal for. I think that Unai Emery likes who he likes, and I think that another thing about it, there was no smoke without fire, or there was no smoke for João Gomez, but I think that he'll be judicious in who he signs in these 2 positions, and there'll be people that he very much so likes. We were linked with what you call him, young player Alabegovic as well from who was with Leipzig, played against us for Leipzig last year, and or was it Salzburg last year. They moved back to Leverkusen, but Leverkusen are looking to sell him now again. So he's somebody else. He was playing at the World Cup this year as well for Bosnia. He might be a cheaper option. I think there was rumors that he was available for about 20 to 25. Whereas, like, you're going to be talking big money for Fernandez Pardo. You're going to be talking 50 million, I would say, for him. For Matthias Sule, you could be probably talking about 18 to 25 somewhere. I don't know, but like somewhere around that value there. So it's it'll be interesting to see who he goes for. But I don't have a name. Obviously, we've been linked heavily with Ibrahim Mbaye. maybe there might be something in that, because I've spoken previously. I think I said it in on the last podcast we did together, that George Mendes is Ibrahim Mbaye's agent, and there are a lot of teams sniffing around Mbaye, and I think maybe Villa might have expedited this, got this done to Chelsea, so that they maybe don't lose out on somebody like Ibrahim Mbaye. Now, what the price would be for him, who the hell knows? Who knows what his price will be?
An 18-year-old
But
from PSG. It's
18-year-old from
it's an
PSG
interesting
who's got like rocket launchers in his feet. Scored a goal in the opening, was it the opening day of the World Cup? For Senegal, and didn't really do much in the World Cup then really after that. But it's going to be interesting. I think we will go obviously a small bit younger, and I think that, but I don't think it's going to be a like for like replacement for Morgan Rogers. I think it'll be somebody who will be more of an out and out winger type that we've probably need. I think
inside
at this stage. Yeah.
For me, it's an exciting one. I think as well. On top of that, I think it frees up a bit of funds to get a backup right back as well. No one wants to talk about a backup right back, but again, money is money and depth is depth, and I think those are things that are equally as important this window. But there's always something very exciting about doing attacking business, especially when it's young talents with huge bags of potential. Neil, going back to Manzambi, where do you see him fitting him fitting in the system? So he played a lot last year at centre mid for Freiburg. But he also played, I think, like 13, 14 games at Cam. Do you see him? Where do you see him? Do you see him in a pivot? Do you see him sitting at Cam? What's your thoughts on Manzambi and where he slots into that Emery system?
If João Gomez and João Palhinha come in the door, there ain't anyway at all. I like, barring injuries, I can't see Manzambi playing as a 6. I just can't. I think they'd almost prefer to buy a right winger as well, and bring McGinn back into that into playing that pivoty position there as well. I wouldn't rule out another loan player coming in there either. Well, I know Palhinha's coming in there, but I would like Ross Barkley's going to have to find a position in there as well. If the rumors that he's signing a new deal as well are in there too, I can only see Manzambi playing further forward. So that does, and to me, it was interesting to hear him say. He said he's played at the 10 or the 6. That's where he, like, in his interview, he was asked, where do you see yourself playing? He goes, well, I play in the 10 or I play in the 6. And I think he's firmly going to be played in that number 10 position. And it'd be interesting to see what he does there. Also, just getting on to something completely and utterly tangential there as well. When we signed Alisson last year, he hasn't obviously done an awful lot, but the first thing people did was, the first thing people said was, wait a minute, he looks exactly like Morgan Rogers. And like, literally, I'd say if you type in Alisson Morgan Rogers, there's probably 5,000 tweets on Twitter that says we've just signed a Morgan Rogers clone. Well, now we get to see if we have or if we haven't. So
they even look like each other a bit, though, Neil.
That's what I'm saying.
There might be, but I mean, clone technically, you're absolutely right. I think that is yet to be determined, but it's mental how much they look like each other. It's definitely a weird one there. And echoing what you said about Manzambi going into the 10, I think I absolutely agree with you. I think he'd only play in the 6 in desperation if there was, injuries. But Unai Emery demands a lot from everybody on the field to get back, and I think with his attributes of being standout as a box to box, I think absolutely they'll go hand in hand with him as a 10 and push him back. I guess that on the winger front as well, a lot of the business depends on the future of Evan Gassand and Leon Bailey too.
As we sit here on the 18th of July, I'm going to say Evan Gassand starts the season with us.
Bold.
Yeah, I'm going to say Evan Gassand starts the season for us. I just don't think he's as bad as everybody thinks he is.
You think he's due a redemption arc?
Not even a redemption arc, but I think that, like, if you were to say to me, all right, you have to keep one between Gassand and Bailey, well, keeping Gassand all day long.
Yeah.
All day long. Not the easiest in the eye footballer, but I don't think the club are going to send him for pennies on the dollar considering they bought him for what, 28 million last year. I just can't see them getting rid of him, making a loss on him. Because it kind of undoes the work of getting your money back on a Lewis Dobbin. And we feel we've been underchanged on Yuri Tielemans. It kind of undoes the work then of a transfer record fee for Morgan Rogers. So I think that they will keep him and or maybe find another loan for him. But like, if they can't sell him, I think they'll probably end up keeping him. I don't know. I just have this feeling about it. No, I'm not going to say that he's going to turn out and be this year's Buendia or anything like that, because there's no way of knowing that. But I just don't think he was as bad as he showed in some of the games that he was for us last year, because there was a couple of them where he was poor. It's when he went to Palace, he was a serviceable footballer when he went to Palace.
Yeah, he did well.
Maybe he's somebody who goes in and plays in the number 10 role, because I'm a big believer that playing him on that right hand side is just not his position. Like when you look at him playing for Nice, he was a 9 or he was a 10, and we played him as a winger, wide right, and it just didn't suit him. And potentially, as I say, if he does stick around, I would like to see him moving more centrally.
Yeah, it's a good shout, and I don't think we can rule out that he still may go back to Palace. I know that option to buy expired, but apparently that's not being ruled out either, with obviously a change of management over there. But something else to think about, Neil, which is exciting on the back, is how quick we're going to move in this window. I feel like we've been very proactive in this window. Obviously, as soon as Villa knew that Man U were knocking for Tielemans, we were proactive straight away, and we were on top of that. And I'm happy that that's how things have been going. So Villa will have known that Rodgers will have been going as soon as the talks had started. I don't know if the talks with Chelsea and Arsenal happened around a similar time, but the Chelsea talks were very quiet, or even very quick, that no journalists got their hands on it. So that all moved very fast. I just hope our business of a replacement is, or whatever we do business-wise in the attacking line, is as quick as the Morgan Rogers exit. We're going into pre-season next week, mate. It's time.
Tuesday.
Yeah, pre-season is literally days away. So I'm excited for that. Obviously, pre-season is not too much to get excited about. I always get excited for going to the Walsall Stadium and watching that game, and it's always a bit of a snooze fest. But yeah, and half of the squad are probably still away on international duty or having a break. So, it's you'll probably see a lot of youth players. So if you do have an interest in youth players, I would absolutely tune into Villa Walsall. I'll definitely get involved in that. But yeah, Neil, I think unless you've got anything else to add. Someone put in the comments that Fab just mentioned about us linked with Jackson. Again, Neil, echoing what you say.
I think Nicholas Jackson just makes an awful lot of sense. If Ollie Watkins ends up going as well, I just think Nicholas Jackson makes too much sense.
That's definitely a conversation for another day.
The one Chelsea player that I certainly do not want is Alejandro Garnacho. Please do not give me the evil circus clown. I do not want him. I do not want him. I do not want him. I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like him, Sam. I am. Certainly not the player I want.
I agree with you there, and I think the fee would be ludicrous as well. I think Chelsea will at least be trying to break even on him. So, but yeah, we'll see in the coming days. I'll be back at some point in the next few days, guys, to put transfers dependent on what's going on in the market, and if there's anything to talk about. I don't want to force content. I don't want to force things out if I don't feel like there's something that we can have a good conversation about. So. Yeah, thank you for tuning in, everybody. New episodes will come in the coming weeks with everything that's going on transfer-wise, and then we'll get a bit of routine when the season starts as well, with some post-match content and doing some exciting things in the middle of that too. So, Neil, thank you for joining me on my first YouTube live. Yikes!
First guest and first live.
Yeah, my first YouTube live. Not my first live in general, but first live on my channel. So yeah, Neil, thank you for joining me at a moment's notice, as we are both on parental duties. And this time an hour ago we were putting children to bed, and now we're waxing about Villa. So we're always on the juggle. But yeah, thank you for everyone for joining. I'll see you next time. Up the Villa.